Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we will be talking about two large storm systems that will be making quite a presentation into this upcoming week across the United States. The first one mainly not as strong as the second one. The second one could have quite a bit of severe weather, lots of heavy rain, and definitely a impressive system for summer, looking more like a late fall or late spring type system. Lots of energy with it and a very kind of unusual track, if you will. So we'll be going over that and also just the pattern, the heat, the cool weather, kind of where that's gonna exactly line up, and update on that. If you guys are new, hello and welcome. Check out the channel, watch the video. If you do enjoy, consider subscribing. And if you are a returning viewer, liking the video is awesome. Just if anyone wants to like the video, that's amazing. And if you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below in the comments box below, as I answer most comments. And yeah, I not only read every single comment, but I think I answered like 95% of comments. A few might go under my radar, so I don't answer those. But I try to get as many as possible. Okay, let's start talking about this. So first off, let's just take a look at the current situation. The interactive radar. Notice what we have going on across Wisconsin, the UP, Michigan, into South Dakota. We have some thunderstorms. Nothing really unusual. Notice they are actually extending all the way north into Ontario, and yeah, some of these definitely could have some pretty heavy rainfall, pretty good amounts of wind with them as well. And notice that they are moving to the south and east direction, all of them. And yeah, they'll continue to kind of pop up through Wisconsin, Michigan, into southern Canada. Really not the big system that we're kind of worried about, or the first one. This isn't the first one. It's, I guess, a part of it, right? But yeah, notice, look at these thunderstorms. Definitely popping up across Michigan right there. That's definitely some very heavy rainfall just passed through Greenbush. I'm assuming quite a bit of rain fell with that, but again, it was brief, and that kind of, once it's gone, it's gone. And notice that it's pushing now into portions of southern Canada, so expect some showers into Ottawa, maybe Montreal, Toronto, though again, it's kind of a hit or miss. Notice South Dakota receiving some much needed rainfall. It's not as widespread as you would like, but you know, the areas that do see it do see quite a bit. In fact, probably too much, probably swamping many of these areas. As you could see, they kind of redevelop over very similar areas, but at least it's rain nonetheless. Notice into the northwest further to Wyoming, Montana, we do have some rain. Less thunderstorm version, more some light to moderate healing rain for the drought-stricken areas. And then notice you do have some thunderstorms popping up across North Dakota. Again, a bit more widespread would be nice, but you know, it is nonetheless some rain. Across the southwest, look at that. Colorado, Utah, we do have some rain showers, some thunder. You know, definitely good rain. They're in drought here across the mountains. They're definitely picking up out on some much needed rainfall. So that is definitely serving its purpose. Doesn't look like if it's torrential rain. I mean, obviously in the bright orange colors there is some heavy rain, and they are slow moving, so the threat for flash flooding still remains. And notice the south all peppered with different types of storms across Houston, Austin, San Antonio. You know, just areas surrounding, seeing different bouts of rain. Again, very slow moving, so it could last a while. And of course, that tropical system, you can see starting to bear its presence across Cuba right there. You can see that circulation dropping quite a bit of rain into Miami now, southern Florida, as it is projected to drive up the Florida coast into probably around Tampa, maybe Tallahassee, kind of making landfall. Again, the area is still a bit uncertain. We'll be going over that as well. So let's take a quick glance at the GFS, and let's just take a look at the temperatures. So for that, let's take a look at the ensembles. So we don't have just one model, it's a group of models. Notice from yesterday's video, not much has changed, right? The heat slides to the east and stays across the west. We see that cool off notice Thursday, Friday. That's again out ahead of that second system that will be forming. Probably you could see right there that ridging a little bit south of that low pressure, really strong ridging associated with high pressures to the west. Washington, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Northern California, very warm. And notice the eastern U.S. cool, definitely more on a pleasant side rather than, you know, just cold for summer. July, July, I would rather prefer to have a cool July than a warm July, because a warm July usually means very hot July. Cool July usually means rather pleasant. So yeah, notice that the west remains cool or remains warm. We do have some signs maybe of the coastal areas cooling off in the long range. Generally, though, the pattern is rather stubborn. As it moves away from the west, that means that the rest of the United States will start seeing that heat. But, you know, I mean, it's about time. They have been suffering with that heat for way too long across the northwest. All right, so that's kind of the forecast for the temperatures. I don't want to stick around with that too much. I kind of want to talk about what the title is referring to. Two big storm systems, potentially. So let's take this and put this forward. Notice, look at that. That's our first system. Today, this is what's going on, this activity. Again, rather light, but it is kind of correlated with that first system, if you will. Notice, this is what I'm talking about. Look at that cold front. It drags it through the mountains, all the way through the plains, and into southern Canada into this Wednesday, Tuesday. Depending on where you live, it will pass through Minnesota, Minneapolis, for example, late or into late Tuesday into early Wednesday, and then it drives on across the south. It mixes with that tropical moisture energy, and look, quite a bit of heavy rain potentially for New Jersey, Long Island, Boston, Connecticut, a lot of the coastal areas. At this point, you wouldn't be really seeing tropical storm force winds or hurricane, damage, but you would see probably some stronger gusts. I'm assuming, and definitely a lot of rain if a track like this would pan out according to the GFS. So that's the first system, and I guess I could combine it with the tropical system energy, kind of under that umbrella of first system. Again, nothing too specific here, but notice a lot of rain, right? That slides to the south and east. You may think all the moisture's cleared out. Well, no, this is actually where the second and stronger system comes through. Notice we have a low pressure. Already pretty strong coming out of the mountains, and look at all this rain coming out into Missouri, Illinois, Iowa. This is now into Saturday. Probably some large clusters of thunderstorms. The GFS takes it pretty darn to the south, and that has been the trend. It was further a bit across Wisconsin, Illinois, but the message remains the same. Pretty large storm system, and notice, again, every day it refires into Sunday, Monday, and look at that. It kind of rotates on its axis of this ridge, and it goes from a eastward direction, right, to a look at that, northeastward, and it brings rain to the northeast again with showers still continuing across the central U.S. And that's kind of the second system, this conglomerate of precipitation, which again, it's hard to go over every single area. As you can see, it's affecting the southwest, it's affecting Texas, it's affecting, like 20 states. So it's hard to pinpoint everything, but notice it continues, and an active pattern definitely continues kind of thriving afterwards. In terms of total accumulated precipitation, according to the GFS, let's take a glance at that total accumulated precip. Notice favoring where those two systems overline. Especially, I think the amounts are underdone if that tropical storm would to, with its remnants or whatever its classification is, maybe a depression, maybe a system, whatever it is, right? Quite a bit of rain would be falling across these areas, probably underdone if that would to occur. But again, is that going to occur? It's kind of the big question, right? They don't even know where it's exactly going to landfall. Probably Florida, but, that's pretty darn vague, and that's why you have to be keeping up with the forecast if you live across the southeast. Again, National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, Weather Channel, pretty good resource as well. Notice the southwest, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, picking up quite a bit of rain according to the GFS. The Canadian, which goes out only to 240, so it makes sense it shows a bit less rainfall. Notice shows a ton across Texas. We'll take a look at that and why it shows that much. Notice it shows a track of that tropical system. Again, very similar to the GFS, so that gives us confidence. Two different models are showing a very similar outcome. Maybe that's what's going to happen. And then notice, obviously, congregating that heavy rain towards upper plains and Midwest, wherever those two systems kind of go. But again, this is just a view of where the heavy rain potential lies. It's not exactly where it will fall. Again, there could be a cluster, many of them that pass through this location, but some areas will probably pick up 8-9 inches. That's how it usually is, and some areas will pick up only 1 inch. And again, that could sometimes vary even across a few counties, let alone a whole region. So favoring the upper Midwest, the lower Midwest, potentially again the Northeast, the Southeast, according to this model, Texas. But for example, look at that. Mississippi looks dry here. Again, that is probably some sort of an estimation from this model saying that there may be a bit less precipitation here, but you could still get drenched by that rain, even if you get 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Or vice versa, you could get absolutely nothing if you live even across the rainy area. That's unfortunately the vagueness with these models. We're still blessed with their accuracy about these storm systems. Notice what they show, right? That precipitation ongoing across Texas. The Canadian really favors that. There's that tropical system, definitely weaker than the GFS, but it shows a lot of precipitation. And again, it combines with that cold front from that first system that I coined, and that travels to the south and east and rides to the north and east finally. Again, lots of rain, especially towards the end of the weekend across New York, Boston, Connecticut. I'm saying states: Connecticut, Rhode Island, right? Trenton, New Jersey, Washington, probably DC. A lot of major population areas getting quite a bit of rain. And then there's that second system. Look at that. The Canadian shows some pretty strong clusters. That most likely is heavy rain, but in a summer-like pattern, that usually indicates severe weather. The extent of that, it's very far out, 120 hours, but I'm just letting you know that the National Weather Service is watching this carefully, as during these type of events, especially from a northern like system, severe weather can be pretty nasty. And July, it's maybe not tornado season. There have been some devastating events during July, August, September, every single month. So it's not over. It's really never over, severe weather season. It could be at any time of the year. And then notice across Texas, if you recall, this model showed the heavy amounts of rain. It just shows continued redevelopment of thunderstorms, which would be obviously very bad. The amount of rain you saw there was over 12 inches, which not a single area would be able to tolerate in such a short amount of time. Hopefully it's wrong, but notice there's our second system, and similar to the GFS, it initially tracks it to the south and east and then pushes it to the north and east. So that will cause it to stall for a few days, leaving those heavy rain amounts. But it finally moves away. But after that, the pattern remains active. So really, no big breaks, no big nothing out of that. Again, and I already showed you the rainfall. Unfortunately, the biggest problem is that it's missing the west, and that's where it's been the driest and needed the most. And then look, of course, in areas where they don't really need it, or not as much as, possibly up to 16 inches, which hopefully is an error. But again, sometimes that does happen. Let's take a glance now at some of the high-res models. NAM 12KM, its newest model run is just processing, so let's take a look at its one that ran out at noon. So it's still very, very relatively fresh. Again, showing the areas of showers across southern Canada. But look, there's our first system across the Minnesota, South Dakota area, that cold front across the south, the moisture with the tropical system riding up the northeast coast, combining with that cold front, and then the NAM goes out only this far. But you can see it starts showing that second system, showing that first system. So not as long as the long-range models, but you could see it does kind of pinpoint that where it does rain, it's rather heavy, probably several inches like we have going on right now across South Dakota. I guarantee you, across some of these areas right now, there's some flash flooding going on. I mean, look at that. Some of these areas, since 1:50 p.m. Central Standard Time, have been seeing rain, and it looks as if more is developing. So those type of situations are common, and unfortunately not really something you'd want, as they usually don't really provide drought relief. Well, they do to a certain extent, but it doesn't have time, that rain, to percolate through the soil. It just kind of runs off and causes more destruction than good. This is a NAM 3KM, a more high-res version of the 12KM, only goes out to 60 hours, so even further less out. Notice it shows a lot of rain across the south. And again, some areas seeing nothing, some seeing, like right there, the tropical system in potentially, 9-10 inches. And then that cold front delivering quite a bit of rain. And, you can see the northeast getting affected by that even prior to that main tropical system making its way there. But look at New Mexico, seeing some very good amounts of rain. Same Colorado and Wyoming, relatively decent. And let's take a glance now at another model, since why the heck not, right? We have a lot of these models we could look through, and I just want to show you them. So let's take a look at this Monday, right? This is now into the rest of today. Notice again the best chance across southern Canada into Michigan for the northeast area. Again, most of the northeast not really seeing much today. The upper plains area, most of southern North Dakota, South Dakota, seeing a chance. These thunderstorms can pop up kind of randomly, but that's why it makes it even more important that you keep up with the forecast so you know what's coming. And if it is coming, when exactly, by looking at the radar and the National Weather Service warnings or advisories and forecasts. And notice that as we push this forward into now late tonight, some activity across the northwest is potentially making its way into the northeast now of the United States, or southwest or southeastern Canada. Notice across the south, the activity is mainly day driven. So once the evening comes, it starts winding down 11 p.m., but definitely from that tropical system still going on. And then look, as we get in tomorrow morning hours, we see a large cluster of precipitation across North Dakota, Minnesota. That's some nice rain that they need, and that's going to be welcome. But look at that, very, very heavy rain now moving into Florida early tomorrow morning, and this continues spreading showers and storms all across the southeast. This cold front intensifies with some pretty strong cells probably tomorrow during the day, but again, kind of stalling out. You can see several areas potentially seeing several storms. Look at tropical system, seeing quite a bit of rain as it pivots into Georgia and South Carolina, probably underdone by the NAM 3 km. And then by late Wednesday morning or afternoon, that cold front moves into Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and a tropical system rides further towards the north and east, according to this high-res model. Now, again, that's a lot of complex information, but it still may be wrong because that's just one model. Let's take a look at this Canadian model. Let's just take a look at its precip outlook. Notice favoring the upper Midwest into portions of the Great Lakes and the Northeast, and of course the South with that tropical disturbance. And look, quite a bit across Texas. Definitely concerning right there, as more and more models are showing that heavy rain. I do want to show you one last model before we go, and that is the European. Notice it keeps definitely that tropical system or storm. I don't know what it is at this point. Probably a storm, right? Maybe even a hurricane. Keeps it definitely the strongest. Look at that, 993 millibars. Quite some heavy wind. Very, very heavy rain. And look, just focusing on that little system, it keeps it very strong all the way up into the northeast with probably some, strong winds and obviously very heavy rain, skimming most of the major areas instead of a full direct impact. But I mean, look, New York City definitely picking up some rain. Nantucket, right? You would get absolutely hammered right there with heavy rain. But notice that focusing on everything else, we see again that cold front driving through the Midwest, southern Canada into Wednesday, Tuesday, depending again on your exact place. And I can't just go over every single place. I don't have enough time, unfortunately, to make such a long video, right? But notice Illinois, Indiana, Ohio into Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. We see a tropical system at this point exiting Florida, going into Georgia, and then South Carolina. Look at that. A lot of rain could be falling even out ahead of this system. And then once that system comes, obviously even more. So quite a bit of flooding potential across the Northeast. Look at that. The plains, central U.S., that second system, the European keeps it pretty nasty. A bit further to the north than what the GFS shows. But notice, again, resurgence of daily chance of thunderstorms, clusters, some of them probably definitely severe, heavy rain, and again, like all the models, initially travels to the south and east, and then picks up a northeastward direction and swoops through the northeast. Much weakened, but definitely still a rain chance, and we will just have to wait and see, unfortunately. Hopefully not too much rain falls across the northeast, but look, where that system kind of stalls out, decent amounts, widespread 3 to 5 inches, and that includes South Dakota, Nebraska, much kind of where they need that rain, even portions of North Dakota, hopefully getting on that, where the tropical system travels, lots of rain, and then look at that right there, into Texas and portions of northern Mexico, lots of rain. Hopefully, again, that doesn't cause too much issues. And then look, that's also another concern, super dry. So a lot of areas to watch for, but stay tuned, stay safe, guys, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.